Hey, what is up, my beautiful people? So today I'm gonna bring you a video, a top 10 video how to get better at PUBG Mobile. I know I might be shooting myself in the foot making this video and helping you guys get better at the game, but it has to be done in order for all of you to have fun in this really cool game. So the first thing, the number 10 is gonna be equipment. All of this includes grenades, healing items, cars, and the parachute. So the way to parachute correctly is to put the marker on anywhere you want to land, and when it gets to 800 meters away or whatever the distance is, you just jump sideways straight down. So that's the best way to go fastest and straighter. So as you can see, these guys landed really slow and I got the early advantage on them. Keep in mind that this only works if you do this strategy and if you're close to the area that you want to land. So this parachute strategy gives you a 5 to 10 second bonus compared to other players that don't know how to parachute correctly. So you will have a little bit of a good amount of seconds in order to get weapons faster, but it all depends on the luck of the place you landed. So this guy in front of me could have gotten AR while I still had the pistol, and he could have killed me, but that's why you have to do looting first and then go against the other players that landed near you. So parachute's still a underrated thing that you must do correctly in order to be able to survive for the early rounds of the game. And so yeah, the parachute is crucial to get the early advantage on your enemies, and we'll move on to the next one.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
And the next equipment we're gonna talk about is grenades. These are smoke grenades. It can be used to hide yourself in the middle of nowhere or to make your enemies come out of their hiding hole. So it is great for hiding. Next thing we're gonna talk about is flash grenades. In this video I use fire grenades in order to make kind of like a trap, making enemies don't come through that little doorway thingy. And then I saw him, and I was gonna change into my flash grenade in order to blind him for about 3 to 5 seconds, depending on how close it is to him. Keep in mind that the enemy has to be facing the grenade when it goes off in order for it to be effective. So it was effective, and he wasn't able to see me correctly, and I killed him. So this is kind of like also using the car to your advantage. You can use it as defense for as long as it has enough health for it not to blow up. You can use it as cover, and you can mix it up with the smoke grenades to make more of a hiding defense, I guess. But you have to be careful because most of these cars blow up really fast. So yeah. And about the healing items, well, you obviously should use them when you're behind cover, a tree or a rock, whatever is the best for you. And the next thing, the Molotov cocktails, they do a really good amount of damage, to be honest, compared to real life, in a really small amount of time. They can be used to trap enemies or to make them get out of their hole. Keep in mind that these grenades usually take about 1 second in order to deploy and then send to the enemies. So there is a risk, I guess, involved. And also keep in mind that the fire grenade, the Molotov cocktail, gives a kind of like flames behind it. So if you use it for the late game when you're on the ground, crouching, hiding from other enemies, if you throw it, you might give away your position if a player notices. So keep that in mind. Next thing we're gonna be talking about is vehicles. Know how to use vehicle correctly. You can use them for as traps or as weapons, depending on the situation you're in. Like this one, I used it as a weapon in order to kill the enemies. As my other friend kept them busy by
Así ganando, güey.
by getting their attention. Can work both ways. So if the enemies shoot you, you might die, but you will give away their position. So this is a kind of like a double-edged blade, and you can also use them for defense, as shown before. These guys started sniping me from far away, so I just had no other option but to prone and heal and wait for my friends to come and help me with these guys. So keep in mind that different cards have different health. The bigger and bulkier ones have the most health, and the smaller ones and slimmer ones are the ones with the lower health. But these guys have no cover, so I had an easy time taking them out. Keep in mind that some of the vehicle hitboxes are kind of weird. They're kind of wonky. They're not where they are supposed to be. Some of these hitboxes are bigger than the car. So the number 9 position is, you guessed it, no camping and landing on popular areas. This is not a really easy thing to do, because I know that most people know that camping gets a lot of kills. So yeah, and I know camping gets a lot of kills, and you have like a 90% chance of killing the enemy if you spot him first. But as you can see, this guy took a while to kill me, and if I wasn't dumb enough to change to other weapon, I would have killed him. But not camping and landing on popular areas is the best thing you can do for your beginner stages. If you keep camping and you're a beginner, you're gonna have a really hard time surviving until the end, or running around when you're in a open area. So no camping and landing on popular areas will give you more experience, and you will know how to deal with enemies in different types of situations. And if you want to increase your chances of surviving, then watch the rest of this video.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Sí, sabía.
So now that we have the no camping out of the way, let's go ahead and go to the landing on popular areas. Now, these areas are full of loot, a lot of really good weapons. So as you guessed it, there are going to be plenty of players landing on these areas. And after some time, you will learn how to survive in these areas. Most people just camp in one building, and that's pretty much how they do it. It's your job to learn how to deal with these campers and how to get the surprise on them in order for you to be able to survive. I know how to know how to win in the long run. So all of this is experience you're gonna gain. It is helpful. You will learn how to shoot, where to aim, and what to expect from each corner of this map. So it is really useful to land on these areas. I've learned a lot of things from these areas. I've learned their layout and where to expect some enemies, because even though it's not really usual, the circle might close in these areas, and all of that experience will be useful to you. Once the circle closes on these areas, you will know where to expect enemies, and you will know where to ambush them from. So coming to these areas is really useful. And aside from that, you will get a really good amount of good weapons. Now for the 8th spot on this video, using weapons with no attachments. Yeah, I know this is gonna be kind of hard. but it gives you a feel of what a raw weapon is supposed to be like without attachments. So it is gonna be useful for the long run if you keep playing the game a lot, because you will know what a weapon is capable of without any attachments, because you will not always find your favorite attachments for that gun. So it pretty much gives you a boost on your skills and the way you use your weapons. It definitely is going to make you wiser on the choices you make when picking up weapons, and it will open your eyes to the type of it will open your eyes to see how good certain weapons can be for certain scenarios. Like this shotgun, you don't expect it to be good at this range, but guess what? It's good enough for a 2-shot up from that distance. So, and with no attachments. So that's the best thing about it. If you train with like this with every weapon, you will probably get more skilled and less nervous when you get no attachments on your weapon. So
Let's get it!
moving on to the 7th spot is using weapons that are deemed as weak or that are not useful. So you might be thinking, well, if not useful, they're not useful for a certain reason, right? Well, you're kind of right and kind of wrong. So using these weapons will increase your, I guess, chances of survival if you don't find any other better gun, because you will not always find the gun that you like, especially in this type of a map where ARs are rare. So definitely getting some use of these weapons will bring you a really good amount of skills into this game, and especially this map. And it's not only SMGs, obviously shotguns, pistols, all those weapons that not really everyone uses can bring you a good amount of experience in using these type of weapons that are deemed bad. So next spot, number 6, being observant. Yeah, I know it's gonna be kind of like, what? Being observant? What? Well, being observant of your surroundings, of everything around you. Enemies, map, the whole map, everything. This makes things a little bit easier. You can even survive if you're observant enough, like how I'm doing in this video. I pretty much just took a really huge risk dealing with this guy, but I finally killed him. And number 5 is movement overall. So the way you prone, the way you sneak, the way you move, I guess you can say that. As you can see in this clip, I didn't reach the box, the airdrop thingy, because I didn't have enough speed. So I just decided, why not try the really small speed boost from these pills and energy drinks. So I did that, and guess what happened? Well, I'll let you see the video for yourself. So you don't really think about it, but it does give you a really small amount of a speed boost, which can be used to your advantage if you know how to use it. Like right here, I tried again to jump, and I did it. And I reached the box. So jumping does not have to be all about getting to higher places. Jumping also increases your chances of survival when dealing with enemies at close range. So if you jump, there's a really high chance that most of your of the shots you take will go to your legs, which will decrease the damage compared to as if you were shot in the vest or anywhere else. So it is better to be shot in the legs or the feet rather than your torso. A lot of players do this when they have the correct settings, so there's also another thing to keep in mind. But what about proning? So what proning does is that it reduces your sound of your footsteps by like what 90%, something like that, something crazy like that. You only really get to hear another person on the floor moving around if they're really close to you. So I used that to my advantage, and I managed to get the sneak attack on this guy, and I killed him. So another fun thing about this is that when you're proning and moving slow, if you have a melee weapon in your hand, you will make a really small amount of noise. So the next thingy is by proning during combat. So that's the best way to do it. Enemies don't expect someone to do that, so they're always going to be aiming for your torso. And this is another clip of jumping in the middle of battle. This was the craziest clip I've gotten so far. Killed 2 guys and I was shot by 1, and then the other came, and just because I jumped I managed to survive and live to survive that. As mentioned before, jumping increases your chances of survival because the enemies will most likely shoot your legs or your feet rather than your torso or your head. So I guess it takes what, 1 more bullet or 2 to kill you, depending on where you're shot. So it is a great tool against a 1v1, but I don't suggest you to go against a full squad unless they're not good players like the ones that you killed. I guess because they haven't watched my video. Yeah, well, I hope they see my video soon and for them to get better. So the next thing about movement overall is knowing how to and when to get into cars and out of cars. That brings us to number 4, dodging bullets. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, but dodging bullets in car, you don't really think about it. I wasn't really thinking about it when I made this clip. I should have gotten out of the car earlier when he rammed into that jeep thingy. So dodging bullets, it's kind of hard to do. If you're far away from the enemy and he starts shooting you first, you should do running while doing zigzag or jumping around. That usually reduces your chances of being shot by 50% if you do it correctly. So dodging bullets, yeah, sounds kind of crazy, but it is possible. I've done it plenty of times before, except in this clip. So moving on to the next thing on our list, the top 10 list. So number 3 is knowing when to attack or defend. So in this one I was a little bit shocked because I wasn't expecting enemy to be there. So obviously my team decided to play it safe and defend while I was down. That was a really smart play. So knowing when to defend or attack could be the difference between dying and surviving and winning the game. So it is really hard to judge when you should do this. Even I have a hard time judging this. So what I mean by that is knowing when to attack is when, I don't know, when the enemy is hurt and you should finish them off before they heal. And when to defend is when you don't know where your enemy is at and you want to play it safe, or when you need to heal. So you usually want to have some sort of barrier between you and the enemy. And in this clip I wasn't able to see the enemy until now. I saw that he was camping up there, but I didn't really have a way to attack him because I knew he would kill me first since he knew where I was last seen. So I just decided to throw him a grenade and get him out of that spot. It didn't work at first, but I managed to get a couple of hits on him. So now he's gonna play defensive and now I have to do the attacking. So I managed to do that, and I managed to get him out of there with the fire grenades, Molotov cocktails, and just by a miracle I managed to survive that with a really small amount of health. So Now I have to play it safe and defend and just heal myself and stay out of trouble. So the next thing was to just find the last enemy, and since the circle was really far away, I knew I wasn't gonna be able to play it safe, so I just decided to go into this little hole and hopefully stay there. But the enemy came at me, and since he started playing it safe, he was backing down, and because he did that, I managed to get the last shot as a headshot. So it is really hard to know when to play safe or when to attack, so I'll leave that to you. So the number 2 in our list is the settings. Yeah, you guessed it. It's not really something from the game, but from the gameplay, but it is really useful. So a really quick tip: sensibility. Put it all the way up, almost all the way up, because with this you can decrease your recoil by depending on the amount of sensibility that you put into your game. So you also have to keep in mind that you should keep the higher what do you call the 8 times. You shouldn't put that all the way up. You should put like in the lower settings, because you're not gonna be using that for recoil. You're gonna be using that for snipers, and snipers usually take about 1 to 2 to 3 shots, not really that many. But for using ARs, you will want to use really high sensibility, because you just by shooting all the 30 rounds, you can just easily pull your finger down, and the recoil and the weapon will go down with your finger. So sensibility all the way up, almost all the way up. So audio, you want to have that all the way up also. You want to have your favorite scopes, the color you want them. And about the picking up items, you can select which you want and how much of an amount you want. So that depends on you. You can choose that later on. So moving on to number 1 is the crazy squad versus solo. You against all of the enemies available. So this is the craziest and the most dangerous the most dangerous number or thing in this top 10. So it is gonna take a long while in order for you to learn how to do this correctly. But obviously, since you're 1 against 4, you will have to camp or you will just die. So for this, I've always said that camping, it's the only okay option on this type of a scenario. So I know that you can camp whatever you want, and I know that the community hates it, but this is like the only time when camping it's okay, because 4 player against 1, I don't think that's fair enough. So I guess camping is like the only option to survive. So these guys, I think they knew I was here because I kind of moved a little bit and my footsteps should have shown in their map, but I managed to get a sneak attack on a couple of them, and I think they were actually playing on like an actual real squad with mics and all of that, because they told their other 2 teammates to attack me from different locations. So squad versus solo, it's gonna take you about, I don't know, it depends how much you play, but it took me about a year in order for me to get it right. There are many risks you will have to take, and you will have to pretty much put your mind into the mind of those that you are attacking. So I'll be the first one to tell you that this will not be easy. It will take time, but in the long run, it will be extremely useful because you will know how to deal with most players. This has been top 10 ways to get better at PUBG. I hope you liked the video, and we'll see you later.